poison. They both lying, right? And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. And what is that power that he's exercising? Trump was about to legalize diplomatic immunity for these police officers. Kamala Harris, listen, man. Jezebel ain't making it in the office, right? Donald Trump is about to legalize diplomatic immunity for these race soldiers, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. And that's what's happening. They looked at Kamala Harris, they damn near worship her like she was the female goddess or something. They're like, she's the only hope. We gotta vote for her. She's the only hope. She's the only savior against Trump. And then now the pendulum swings, and what happened? Now they're worshiping Trump like he's a god.
This is the etymology of the word vote, right? From Latin, votum, a vow, wish, promise to a god.
It says what?
Promise to a god.
Right, read on.
Solemn pledge, dedication. To promise, dedicate, right, totally, of voters of a certain class or type.
Look at that. Promise to a god. They looked at Trump like he's a god. Once he got past that damn assassination, they said the man dropped down and raised back up. Right, the third day. Right? In 3 minutes. Each minute represented a day. The third day, he done risen back up. And he's changed now. He's a whole new creature. Right? That's what they think. They think he's a god. And you know what's funny? Yeah, he is a god for wickedness.
Trump living Jake life.
Yeah, literally.
Been shot.
Right.
You've been put in jail.
Right. Shot up, put in jail, they about to give some wings in the grill and everything.
That's a lot. Even with this too, when it says made them worship the first beast. So on Kamala's speech, she like, yeah, I could see. So now we're gonna follow behind Trump. We're gonna come behind him now. So yeah, now she's bringing everybody that came behind her. Now we're gonna go and push all this behind Trump. You know what I'm saying? That's what she said in her procession speech.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? That's what I'm saying. They working on the same. They working
the same team. Yeah.
They're basically racing to see who's the best actor.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because at the end of the day, guess who's over them? Amalek.
Yep.
If you notice, every president, you have the Amalekites when they get voted as president, sitting down, writing down the bills, signing all these stuff. You can check out the pictures. Amalek is always around. They're always around. And you know what's funny about Amalek? A lot of people don't they don't speak about Amalek and the Illuminati. Why? Because they're looking at the people in front. They're looking at the puppets. They're not looking behind the scenes. They're not looking at the people that's in the shadow, that's hiding. Right? The thing that the Amalekites hate about the Israelites is that we focusing directly on their ass. Because we know who they are and they know who we are. Why?
Absolutely. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shai Shai Barakatah. All right, a Shark Hanukkah. Depending on when you're watching this, it's the last day. Hopefully, it was everything that you hoped it would be. Hopefully, you got time to read and feast and congregate and all those good things that happen around Hanukkah, and you stayed away from Christmas, so-called Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry New Year. Stayed away from those things because people were getting ran over by cars. Yeah, that's a fact. Okay, let's start with Daniel chapter 7 and verse 18. Before we begin, I would like to say, Fair Use Act, Fair Use Act. This video is protected by Fair Use Act. It's apparently Esau. I'm getting under Esau's skin because now he's going with the strikes and the copyrights, but this is a Fair Use Act. Okay. But to hell with Esau. Okay, he's already in bad shape today. We'll talk about that. Let's give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. All right. And Kom Yashala, rise up, y'all. This is the time period that we've been talking about. Let's bring Daniel 7 and verse 18 on the forefront. Okay, here we are. It's like it. Daniel chapter 7, verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So we got to be ready to take some things, okay? Right now, the Most High is taking over the skies, okay? He's causing havoc on the ground, okay? So you have Air Force and an Army, okay? And it seems also that they're saying in New Jersey they're coming from the sea, so there's your Navy as well. Special Forces are here, okay? We're going to talk about some things that happened today. Let's get Jeremiah 50 and verse 37. This today is a so-called New Year 2025, okay? It started off with a bang, literally. Terrorist attacks all over the United States. And the FBI is going left and right, and which way did he go, trying to look for people. But let's talk about it. Let's get Jeremiah 50 and verse 37. We're going to talk about the sky first. They don't want to talk about that, so we're going to start there. Jeremiah 50 and verse 37, and it reads, a sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. So right now, planes are falling out the sky. Okay, I could talk about it, but let's just look at it. Okay, this is all around the country, all around the world. Aviation disasters.
Heard it on our show today. Multiple stories on aviation disasters around the world, including one here in Canada. South Korea is seeing one of the country's worst aviation disasters. In Kazakhstan, an Azerbaijan Airlines plane was shut down allegedly by Russia. Hassan Shahidi, president and CEO of the Flight Safety Foundation, joins us now to discuss this further. Welcome back, Hassan.
Good to see you.
Let's start with Halifax. Part of an Air Canada flight caught fire, evacuating the plane and closing down the airport for about 90 minutes.
All right, now another news coming is from the aviation sector, where Air Canada flight 2259 made a dramatic landing at the Halifax Sandfield International Airport in Canada. The incident was reported on the night of 28th of December after a broken landing gear caused the wing to scrape the runway, igniting a fire.
Many uncertainties, as you can imagine, still surround what sadly the deadliest aircraft in aircraft crash in South Korea. I know you've been studying the footage for us, having a look at it all day for us. What are your assessment at this hour?
Well, I'm pretty shocked actually, because whatever happened to the airplane, which meant that the pilot couldn't get the flaps and gear down for the landing, was not actually what caused the death of the passengers. The transport minister is quite right. The runway didn't cause this accident. Something happened to the airplane. It disabled it. I think it lost hydraulics. They couldn't get the gear down.
Oh yes, something did happen to this airplane. As you can see, they went with the bird strike, but apparently it's a lot more deeper than that. The bird strike wouldn't have destroyed the landing gear, okay? But chariots, they can do that.
Around the runway, it's the wall at the end.
After 3 days of silence, Russian President Vladimir Putin today apologized to Azerbaijan for the Christmas Day crash of a passenger jet over Russian airspace.
Emergency officials in South Korea are now confirming that only 2 of the 181 people on board survived a plane crash. That plane skidded off the runway, crashed, and burst into flames.
Families of passengers on board the plane listened as public health officials read the names of the identified victims.
They are very upset over there in South Korea, but we can not forget that they came and got our brother Baruch in the middle of the night and brought him over there for trumped up charges, only to release him, be found not guilty, or so forth and so on, right? Over there in South Korea. And look what the Most High does during Hanukkah. Let's continue.
In the crash, loved ones are now demanding answers as to what caused this devastating incident.
This crash happened just after 9 a.m. local time there. You can see where that airport is in the southern part of the country. The flight originated in Bangkok.
Part of an Air Canada flight caught fire, evacuating the plane and closing down the airport for about 90 minutes. What are your thoughts on this?
The aircraft skidded down the runway and part of it caught fire. A passenger on board described the event and said that the plane started to tilt to the left, and as that happened, we heard a loud noise, almost like a crash, as the wing scraped along the pavement. The airline issued a statement and said that the passengers did not seem to suffer any life-threatening injuries, but were quite shaken up.
Well, it looks like this was a de Havilland aircraft that had issues with one of its landing gears. It landed and the aircraft caught fire, but thankfully there were no injuries. At this point, the investigators will be looking at to what exactly happened with this flight, and in particular, looking into the landing gear failure. The data will be collected and they'll be looking at the evidence and will determine what exactly happened.
Is this a likely malfunction?
At this point, the investigation is ongoing. It is not clear exactly why the landing gear failed. They'll be looking at the information, the data, and the maintenance history on this aircraft, and will determine the likely cause.
To South Korea now, 179 people are dead after a plane crash while attempting to land.
That's what a lot of people are saying. They can't understand why this airplane was landed on that runway at that speed with no flaps, with no gear. There might have been something else involved, but a bird strike on an engine might shut an engine down, but there's so many redundant systems there. It just doesn't make sense. So we're in the dark here, but we know this. The runway is 9,200 feet. It's a very long runway. It did come in hot and high, hot and fast. We don't know why that was. The real issue, that airplane was probably damaged more than we think. And it may not have been just the bird strike. There might have been other things that happened to that airplane. We don't know, but it's very strange to have that airplane land that hot on a runway. It's 9,200 feet to the point where it literally was still going pretty strong when it hit that wall.
But it's your understanding that they didn't at all. They had two engine failures, potentially due to bird strike, and then attempted the landing.
Yes, that's correct.
And so there's some speculation that the landing gear may have malfunctioned as well. But in your view, is this just everything happening too quickly for the pilots to react, or how could this have happened?
Well, one of the other critical factors here, Nick, is that the air traffic control data that's sent from the aircraft, it's called ADSB. It's the thing that everybody watches on flight radar. All that data ends up on flight radar, and you can see where aircraft are. That was turned off at 900 feet, just after the bird strike. Now, when I say turned off, it ceased transmission. So that indicates there were possible multiple electrical failures resulting from this multiple bird strike. So therefore, the pilots were possibly dealing with a cascading series of electrical failures, possibly hydraulic failures. They may not have had a chance, if they had a problem with the undercarriage, to crank it down, because if they had a dual engine failure, then they would have simply obviously had to land as best they can.
In Kazakhstan, an Azerbaijan Airlines plane was shot down, killing 38 people. The plane repeatedly tried to make its landing before it diverted and crashed in the country. Russian air defenses were operating in the area. What are the protocols regarding civilian aircrafts near a combat zone?
As investigators comb through the crash site where the passenger plane went down, a stunning statement from the Kremlin today. Russian President Vladimir Putin apologizing, but not taking responsibility for the crash. He says, in the left arm, I don't know what touched me. I just looked and saw blood. But the conversation cut short. He says, I have to turn my phone off. They're not allowing me to speak. Several airlines, including those from Azerbaijan, Dubai, and Israel's main carrier El Al, have now suspended flights to Russia.
Stephanie, what is the deal with this?
Hey, Jackie. Yeah, a lot of questions, not too many answers at this point, but speculation is mounting as to what caused this crash in the first place. Now, that source telling Reuters that the plane's communications were paralyzed by electronic warfare systems on the approach into Grozny, but adds no one claims that it was done on purpose, all while Russia's aviation watchdog, they claimed that the plane diverted because of a bird strike.
Being struck by a bird could cause this much of a disaster.
Typically, no. This really happens rarely, this kind of a disaster. Bird strikes do happen around the world. And in particular, the investigators will be looking at as to why the aircraft landed without any landing gear.
Could have had a bird strike in the right engine. Could have had a bird strike in the cockpit window, which actually penetrated the window, even though I don't think the plane was flying fast enough for that to happen, which could account maybe for some cockpit confusion by the flight crew. But this is a bit of an enigma. We have to wait to see what all the data shows.
Yes, yes, enigma it is. In South Korea and Azerbaijan, they're like, a bird strike caused this malfunction, everything turned off, you couldn't land. No landing gear. Okay. So we get into the bird strikes. I mean, after a while, you gotta kind of get it. You know, if you watched the last Wednesday wake up call, talked at length about all these plane crashes, not just these two major ones, but when I say major, meaning more people were on board, a lot of helicopter crashes, a lot of single engine, single passenger, two passenger plane crashes, New Jersey, New York, Hawaii, Michigan. It's all over. It's actually all over. So we're talking about saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. It's up for grabs now, y'all. It's up for grabs. No need to get the pistol and pop the trunk and and dump. We don't have to do that. We have to follow these law, statutes, commandments. Be up to date on your laws. Where's the law on having a beard? Where's the law on fringes? Do you know that by heart? Can you tell that to somebody? Because they're all going to want to know soon, because these planes are going to keep on falling out the sky, and they want to know, how can we make it stop? Okay, Esau and other nations can't help you. Yeah, sorry, not sorry, can't help you. But so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're here for you. All right, it's going to be a rough time, but we're here for you. Okay, just be sincere. Pretend that somebody's watching, and you're not getting over on anybody. But let's continue. Let's go to Psalm chapter 35 and verse 8. Some strange things going on in the world I want to talk about. We talked about this a few weeks ago. One being in Cherry Hill. Some guy was on his front lawn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, very affluent neighborhood. Guy was found on his lawn, cut to pieces, apparently. His neighbor saw him and started screaming, because of all the blood. It's not like he might have had a heart attack and died. She said there was a lot of blood there. So we haven't really gotten detailed information from law enforcement authorities, but I'm looking into that, because that's one thing that happens when the chariots are seen. People get cut up pretty bad. Animals get cut up pretty bad as well. In this next video, animals just straight disappeared. Right? Let's look at this. I haven't really talked too much about this one either. Like, trying to keep this one under wraps, but we're going to display that to you, being the world of Israel. Okay, Psalm chapter 135 and verse 8. Who smote the firstborn of Egypt, both man and beast? So let's not forget that, the firstborn of the Egyptians died, but so did their cattle. Okay. And these modern day Egyptians, their cattle is getting smited, but also them Jones come up missing. And this is in Colorado. If you remember, Colorado had a large incursion of suspected drones. I believe last year kind of started everything off. and they couldn't find out who did it or why they did it or who it was, and couldn't stop it. It's over military installations. Can't stop it, right? So you just stop talking about it because there's nothing you can do about it. But we already know what's going on. Quick segment in Colorado, southwestern Colorado.
Welcome back, guys. 7-Eleven new this morning, a mystery on the Western Slope. About 180 cattle went missing, and most of them are calves. The cattle came from multiple ranches and were last seen grazing the plateau in the San Juan Mountains. That area spans about 1.5 million acres. The Montrose County Sheriff's Office says they are currently investigating.
Yeah. Investigate all you want. Okay, we'll get back to that. So we talked about this before. Cattle mutilations, they call them. If you want to look that up, you can see some amazing things. Dr. Stephen Greer, he's supposed to be a UFOologist. Notice a lot of these UFOologists, they pick the same ones over and over again, regurgitate the same lines over and over again. So believing them, it's, I could sell you a bridge for all that. But he says that these are psyops and this, it's the government doing that, but the government doesn't have that type of power, okay? If a farmer's sitting there on his land and the phone rings, he goes in and picks up the phone, comes back, and his prized bull, $50,000 he was going to sell this, is going to pay for the rest of the house, send his daughter to college, is sitting there now, chopped up, face off, no blood in the entire animal, no tracks going or coming, right? As far as like trucks goes, because they do weigh a lot. No loud noises. It didn't startle any of the other cattle. And apparently it takes out its intestines, genitalia, lips, eyes with laser precision. And then we're going to believe that the government has the power to do something like this. And even some of the cattle has broken bones and ribs and such, like it was dropped out of the sky. Exactly. So that's something to look out for. Now we know that judgment is raining down as a mighty stream. Let's go to Sirach chapter 39 and verse 28. So other things we'll be looking into, like people getting demolished in the woods. Also a sign of the chariots. What some people like to call Sasquatch. Our ancestors call him Sasquatch. Let's not forget that. Esau calls him Bigfoot because, the foot is so big, we'll call him Bigfoot. Our ancestors call him Sasquatch. Is way before Harry and the Hendersons or any other TV show. So you want to believe Gad and Reuben or American imperialism? It's entirely up to you. All right, Sirach, I'm going to go with Gad and Reuben. Let's go with Sirach chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of their destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Classic. And it works perfectly with this next video discussing two men going out to find Sasquatch, but then they found themselves dead. All right, let's watch this.
Well, new tonight, 2 Portland men have been found dead after they went missing in eastern Skamania County, Washington. The family of the men reached out early Christmas after they never returned home as planned on Christmas Eve. The family said the two were searching for Sasquatch. After a 3-day search involving more than 60 volunteer search and rescue members, their bodies were found in a heavily wooded area of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. Their cause of death is believed to be exposure.
A lot of times with these people that go out and look for Sasquatch, they're not, especially if you live in Washington, it's not your first time into the woods. You pretty much live in the woods, depending on where you live at. But for the most part, these people are usually seasoned. Looks like it was snow on the ground. I'm assuming they had on boots, You know what I mean? It's Esau. Esau can sleep outside in 20-degree weather. I mean, I'm assuming it's Esau because not too many people go out and look for Sasquatch. But other than the Edomites. But if that's the case, then Esau ain't make it 3 days or a couple days. I don't know about that. What seems more realistic is that Sasquatch found them, grabbed both of them, and smashed their heads together and left them there. And then they say that's exposure. We'll look into that some more. Maybe they'll talk about it some more, maybe not. But maybe their family will, step up and say, yo, that guy knew, the both of them knew the land like the back of their hand. So for the most part, something happened, something foul happened. Okay. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. A lot of cases that people, the cases that people are able to make it out of there, not even because they're fast or strong or they got guns or whatever, it's because Sasquatch allows them to. Like they'll hear something, a boulder that weighs like a ton will be thrown at them, and they run back to their car, and they'll just say, "I seen him looking at me. He could have caught me anytime." But what it comes down to is, um, in the time of their destruction, they pour out force. So that wouldn't be their time. Now might be the time, and we're going to look into that. Trust and believe. Let's continue on. Okay, now what's happening in New Jersey? We've seen a whole bunch of drones in the sky, and the drones, they said the drones left. They never left because the mayor and the people of the town, like, they ain't go anywhere. It might even increased. We see more coming off the ocean, and there's supposed to be a drone restriction. No drones in the skies of New Jersey, and the government has permission to shoot them down. Did they shoot any down yet? Nah. You know why? Because they can't shoot them down. All right. So let's add on to that. What else is happening in New Jersey? Let's get Psalm chapter 106. Psalm chapter 106, and we're going to start at verse 16. They envy Moses also in the camp, and Aaron, the saint of the Lord. The earth opened up and swallowed Dathan, and covered the company of Abiram. So back in the day, we're coming out of the wilderness, and they envied Moses. Bad things happened. So this is a new thing, right? He said, don't let them die a regular death. This is a new thing.
It's definitely put a damper on business this week, the last 2 days.
Foot traffic inside the Naughty Pine pub slowing down much like the car traffic on nearby Route 80.
That's why we're doing a sinkhole special today. We're doing sinkhole sliders today. There you go, the sinkhole sliders.
Jim Hill's Wharton Bar is just a few hundred feet away from the massive 40 by 40 sinkhole that shut down Route 80 East.
It could take you 2 hours to get down into town from being west of here. All the back roads are all backed up.
Wharton is within a stretch of northern New Jersey that was once a mining hub, home to 445 mines that are now abandoned.
The underground is basically switched.
William Croft of the Sterling Hill Mining Museum says fixing the sinkhole will first require taking soil samples to ensure the surrounding ground is solid.
You have to make sure that there are no potential loose areas underground that are not properly supported, but this could happen. This may just be the start of it. I do not know. No one knows at this point.
Only then can you start filling the massive hole.
This is a big deal. This is a very, very big deal, and it's not something that, okay, it's safe. Let's fill it up with sand, compact it, and move on. It doesn't work that way.
It does not work that way, and also we'll get to that in a moment. Also, at first, they were like, we have no idea how this happened. Now they got the whole expert coming in and, it's Swiss cheese underneath the ground. We do that all the time, have highways over mining facilities and so forth and so on. Not going to buy it there, but, we'll go with that. But anyway, there's a huge sinkhole on I-80 in New Jersey, okay, where they had these drone sightings and orb sightings, and Drones changing the time on people's cars, and FBI agents being followed home by the drones, stuff like that. Okay. So we're not going to forget about those. We're just going to talk about the results now. Now that we see them in the sky, what are they going to do on the ground? That's one of them. Let's continue. Let's go to Job chapter 18 and verse 14. All right. Job chapter 18 and verse 14. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. What did the king of terrors do now? Well, yesterday, like we said, was so-called New Year's Eve. Also, the gathering the last night for Hanukkah. And what did the Most High show us? Lightning strikes all over, okay, from DC to New York, lightning strikes and hitting the idols of the United States of America. Let's check out this video. Very short video.
It's crazy that the Empire State Building, State Capitol, and the Washington Monument all got struck by lightning all out. We think we know what God, everything dumb and evil happened with threes. New York City, DC, and the Capitol. Like when I say 2025 won't not for the weak, and God won't be mocked. Like I just said, buckle up.
Buckle up. Man know what you're talking about. He might be a drunken sailor, but a drunk mind speaks a sober tune. Buckle up. It was the Empire State Building, the Capitol, struck by lightning. Okay. Let's get Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 16. In that day shall Egypt be like unto woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shake over it. So that loud, it was, if you are from the Northeast, you hear a very loud, thunderous lightning strikes yesterday, shaking houses, so forth and so on. So they were actually shaking the Capitol and the Empire State Building, I believe the Washington Monument. Okay, verse 17. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Every one that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he have determined against it. So does that mean Judah speak less? No, speak more. Talk about these prophecies. Talk about what's going on and what is happening to the United States of America that took our ancestors and worked them to the bone from sun up to sundown. Even now you have Edomites walking up to cotton patches and picking one piece of cotton very soft and gentle and say, that wasn't easy. You guys didn't build anything, and laughing and mocking us. Well, the joke's on you, Esau, because those drones aren't drones. They are so-called UFOs, chariots of the Most High, and they're not here for any games. They're here to destroy, and destroying, they are doing very well. Let's continue. Let's go to Amos chapter 5 and verse 21. Cannot not read Amos during this time period where everybody's celebrating and allegedly having a good time before judgment takes place. So, of course, we're going to get the last laugh, Esau, always. Let's bring that out. Amos chapter 5 and verse 21. I despise your feast days and will not smell at your solemn assemblies. What is he talking about? Why would God hate celebrating the new year in the middle of winter? Why would God hate that? Because it's a bold-faced lie. That's why. So when people go and he tells us not, he says, don't do it. You're doing stuff pagans do. Don't do that. The winter solstice and so forth, right? One thing, and that's from, this holiday season, not just that day, but people like to celebrate. They like to light their fireworks. What if your fireworks killed you? Now, back in Christmas, they did fireworks and it went haywire. I'm not sure exactly where it was at. I could look that up. I'm not 100%. But it hit some kid in the chest. He had to have heart surgery. So you think they would have learned from there, right? No, but people over there in Hawaii, they take this celebration seriously. Those Isles over there, the Gentiles are having a good time and bad things happen. Let's watch it.
We are tracking multiple breaking news stories this morning. Here at home, a deadly explosion of fireworks went off in Salt Lake overnight. Casey Lund has been following this all morning, and he's going to give you the very latest information. And at least 10 people have died and multiple others injured after a man drove through a crowd of people in New Orleans. This in the French Quarter. We're going to hear from witnesses who were at the scene of what police are now calling a terrorist attack. We want to get it right to Casey Lund, who is live on the scene in Salt Lake. He's been there throughout the morning. Casey, what is the latest?
Yeah. Good morning, Grace. We know that at least 20 people were seriously injured. We assume that number is much more. 2 people dead after this fireworks-related explosion. I want to give you an update. I did just get off the phone. We are trying to get as much information as we can and as quickly as we can, making sure that it's accurate, of course. I was able to speak with Dr. Jim Ireland. He's the director of Honolulu EMS, and you're going to hear from him in just a moment. One of the first people on scene with his team of paramedics, as well as other first responders, working to provide aid, life-saving measures to the folks that were injured in all of this. He was able to give me a little bit of an update because, of course, when all this happened, they had to get people to different hospitals across Oahu, hospitals that many of them were taxed already. On New Year's Eve, they're quite busy, as are first responders. He said he was able to stop by a couple of places like Queens, check in with them, make sure that they were doing okay, make sure they had everything they needed. He said Queens did have to bring a few extra people on, but they were able to sort of weather those extra patients. I want to also share with you just some of the sentiments of neighbors I've been able to speak to since we came back to the scene. Of course, we went back to the station after we initially got here and tried to get a lay of the land of what had happened. When we came back this morning, you still see people out on their sidewalks, on their porches, trying to talk to one another, comfort one another, or at least figure out what's going on. There's still a police presence here. And you can see from some of these images just what a serious situation this was and how dangerous things were last night. This all unfolded just after midnight. We were able to talk to one of the neighbors that was just across the street from that home on Keaka Drive that witnessed that massive explosion just into the early hours of the first day of 2025. Like a scene from a war movie. First responders racing to save the injured, while those who were lucky enough to escape unharmed sprinted to safety.
And I heard what seemed like a low blast, and I turned my phone to see what's happening, and just it was a low blast actually, and you see the smoke coming up, and about 10 minutes later, a lot of commotion, ambulance, fire, police, and it's pretty tragic. Like I said, my son's friend, he was running around frantic, and obviously something happened to either his friend or a loved one, and I just wanted to be there to see if I could help.
We spoke to a neighbor of the home where firefighters say a fireworks-related explosion took place just after midnight. He asked us not to use his name, but says he did what he could to comfort the many people who were critically injured around him.
The lady I was helping, she was in shock. She was about to collapse. So I just tried to stay by her side, and she was looking for her son. Her son, she said, was actually injured, and they were taking by order of how serious the injury was, and he had to come down further to another ambulance rather than a closer ambulance.
After the explosion, a triage. Ambulances staging as quickly as they could to prioritize those with the worst injuries and get them to multiple Oahu trauma centers. Police officers and firefighters assisting paramedics.
Very, very sad. Nothing I've ever seen like this in EMS. Some of the folks who were here, who've been to war, who've been in combat, said it reminded them of things they've seen in combat.
Injuries were caused by
not only fire, but also blast type injuries. So similar to what you would see with an explosion or a bomb, right? So you're seeing, possibly limbs missing, people are being hit with shrapnel.
A night meant to celebrate new beginnings turned deadly, ending lives and changing families, this neighborhood and our community forever.
I'm not sure what happened there. It just, sooner or later, something bad is bound to happen. You're dealing with this kind of stuff. So hope it's a learning experience for everyone. And be safe.
Yeah, that is good advice, of course. I want to get right to this information here. We are going to stream on all of our digital platforms press conference with Honolulu EMS, other officials.
All right. I hear you. Now, limbs, picking up your arm, like Saving Private Ryan. It's not what was supposed to happen during Merry New Year. But of course, the Most High God says don't celebrate it. So you might get your hand blown off, or leg, or arm, leg, arm, whatever. You might not have it by the time it's all said and done, But that's what happened in Hawaii, Honolulu. Ban fireworks. I mean, really, they're dangerous. But anyway, let's keep going. I kid. Let's go to Zechariah 5 and 4. Because researching, I didn't know about this part. Now, this actually precedes the actual story that I wanted to talk about. But looking into New Orleans, apparently their buildings have been falling down left and right. Okay, this is before the terrorist attack that just occurred. So let's bring out Zechariah 5 and 4, because there's chariots all over the place and they're setting up shop. They're not leaving. I was talking to my Ak. He's like, one thing about it, did they go? I said, no, they might increase. He's like, yeah, they're not going anywhere. Thus saith the Holy Bible, thus saith the Lord. Zechariah chapter 5, verse 4, I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house. Okay, and it shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. So apparently right now, places are just dropping in New Orleans. And it's interesting that we talk about New Orleans. It's kind of like, I don't say it's the voodoo capital of the world, but if any place has an extensive amount of voodoo, it would be New Orleans. There's people that go down there just for that, just to meet a witch doctor, or just to, go to a haunted house and talk to the spirits and stuff like that. So the fact that these things are happening in New Orleans is no accident. Let's continue.
A New Orleans restaurant owner says the nearby building collapse in the Lower Garden District last night temporarily halted her business and even totaled her car. It was the third building collapse in just over 3 months in the city. Now, city and state leaders are calling for action. Amelia Strahan joins us live now with the latest. Amelia.
Well, demo crews have started cleaning up the streets, getting debris and bricks out of the way, but they still have a pretty long way to go. I'm going to step aside so you guys can get a closer look. As you can see, there's still a lot of bricks on the sidewalk. Much of the street is still blocked off, and one car is really just buried in the bricks from that building. Now, restaurants and businesses along the block were evacuated and they closed up early yesterday, but some people lost a little bit more than a few hours of business.
We heard boom, boom, the gigantic noise I heard in my life.
Lily's Cafe was packed for dinner Monday night when the building across the street started to crumble.
And then we ran out, and that's what we saw.
Tuesday morning, the restaurant owner Trin Vaughn says her car is still buried under bricks from the old guitar shop.
A little shaken. I called my insurance company, and they say, I've never heard of anything like this.
Nearby restaurants and businesses were evacuated Monday night after a building collapsed on the corner of Magazine and Felicity. What caused the building to crumble is still under investigation, but it's just the latest in a string of building emergencies. Back in September, a blighted building on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard collapsed. In October, the building next door to the guitar shop went up in flames. Then just 2 weeks ago, a partial building collapse in the CBD cut off pedestrian access on O'Keefe Avenue for weeks. Now, City Council President Helena Moreno and State Senator Royce Duplessis say they're trying to find a way to make sure this doesn't happen again.
What I'm interested in is what we can do in the future to prevent situations like this, and whether we need to take a look at some of our older buildings and do an overall structural analysis to figure out the condition of our buildings.
Obviously, we're grateful no one was injured, that no one was in the building, but this can't be a trend. I don't remember a time where we've had this many building collapses, and very concerning.
And the city released a statement saying they're, quote, working to collaborate with New Orleans City Council to develop legislation on regular inspections for vacant historical structures and businesses. Trin says she's looking forward to seeing the city take action because she's hoping to bring good business and good luck into the new year.
I think it's positive. New year, new thing coming.
I actually spoke with the owner of that building. He said he just bought it a couple of months ago. He was planning on renovating it, but hadn't started those renovations yet. And now instead of hiring renovation crews, he's hiring demolition crews. He said he is cooperating with the city to get this cleaned up just as soon as possible.
Well, you do that. Well, you do that. You clean it up and he will knock it right back down. Right back down. Okay, let's get Amos chapter 5 and verse 23. You see Moab's car is totaled. Business ain't looking too good. And Moab is a liar. Okay. I think they made like another Bible or something. They made another son or whatever. So Moab's not guilty. Okay. And it was trouble during the wilderness. So sometimes buildings collapse, and that's what happens. All right, let's continue on. Because there's more stuff that happened in New Orleans that you might have already heard of, but we're going to talk about it. Amos chapter 5, verse 23, take thou away from me thy noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melodies of thy vows. But let judgment run down as waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream. Let's see what happened. Everybody's down Bourbon Street listening to music and having a good time, lifting up their shirt, getting beads. I don't know. It's freezing outside. I don't know what they're doing, but at the same time, it might be look kind of pleasant down there, though. It is, of course, down south. But Main Man, once again, they played the man took his driving test in Germany. Ishmael, he failed miserably, ran over a bunch of people. And this guy took his driving test in New Orleans, failed as well. He got out and started shooting people. Let's watch that.
Now, the big question is, who were the other people that the FBI believes were involved in this attack? Where are they, and can police and law enforcement catch them?
And that's the hard part about it, and that's the part that has a lot of people concerned. The fact that we have investigators on video who say that they've seen these people place devices in different parts of the French Quarter. Luckily, they were able to recover these devices. The big question is, are there more? Did it go, and did they place them anywhere else throughout the city? And also, why New Orleans? If you're driving from Houston, which is a major city, a much larger city, and passing through other cities to get here, I'm wondering what made us a target here.
I don't know. That's a great question, too. And, you know, it doesn't appear that this suspect had any ties to New Orleans specifically.
Right.
We do know that he's a U.S. Army veteran. We're unsure whether or not he was honorably or dishonorably discharged from the U.S. Army. And the FBI said today that they're working to confirm those details about his background. We know that there is an active search underway and an active operation happening in Houston right now. As you know, investigators start to really look into Shamsuddin Jabbar, which is the suspect who now police say is deceased.
All right, right now you're getting a look at him. Apparently, I'm being told that this is from a 2020 arrest, a previous arrest. And if you can tell me, right, you know, from
Fort Bend County.
Fort Bend County and near Houston. So this is from an arrest then, and not necessarily knowing exactly what this arrest was for, but it shows that he has had a previous history with law enforcement. And I think that we heard FBI say a little bit earlier that we don't know if he was honorably or dishonorably discharged from the military, but he is from Houston. He's he's a Houston resident, excuse me, and he was a part of the U.S. military. Whether he has any affiliation or connection to any terrorist organizations outside of our country, we're not aware of that. Or if we're looking at extremism or someone who is just a copycat, we don't necessarily know who this is.
Right.
We're still waiting for more information regarding the attack that happened in Germany, which was horrific, which was a Christmas attack as well. People trying to figure out exactly who this person was and why he chose to attack this organization, to attack those people there.
Yeah, now the FBI did say in a statement earlier today that the flag that was on the back of the truck, it was on a PVC pipe flying in the back end of the pickup truck that was used in this attack, that it was an ISIS flag. Again, they're still trying to determine whether or not he had any direct association with that terrorist organization, or whether or not that was something that he, did on his own.
Right.
And now when I say did on his own, the FBI has said that they are confident that he did not act alone. One of the reasons for that is what the AP, the Associated Press, has been reporting based on a Louisiana State Police law enforcement bulletin that said that law enforcement has seen at least 4 individuals placing those improvised explosive devices in areas of the French Quarter. And those 4 people are who they believe all carried out this attack and
Right.
those IED placements. Now, that law enforcement bulletin also said that there were IEDs in coolers in the back of the vehicle that were found after he crashed into the vehicle and had a shootout with police that left him dead. There were coolers that were wired for remote detonation. And there was also a remote, apparently, according to the Associated Press's reporting, there was a remote found in that vehicle as well. So in theory, that would mean that he was hoping to get out and run at some point and then blow up that truck.
Right.
So the question now is, where are these other 3 people that may have been involved in this attack? Have police tracked them down? We know from talking, from talking to my law enforcement sources today, that they have been following leads all morning long in trying to track those people down. So I think that something that works in their favor, in investigators' favor in this case, is that you pretty much can't go anywhere in the French Quarter without being on camera.
Everywhere.
And there has been a concerted effort over the years to install high definition cameras all over the quarter so that law enforcement agencies can track any suspects that commit any kind of crimes in our most populated area.
Perfect
Perfect
example of that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that as well. Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing that we live in such a police state where everything that we do is monitored and tracked. So things like this shouldn't even happen. But of course, obviously, they're looking at the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't look at what people do in, in their spare time. Look who's gathering up massive amounts of weapons and guns and ammo and so forth and so on. Nobody seemed to find that. But apparently the police saw 4 people putting bombs around the city. Don't normally arrest people like that. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I think it's illegal to put bombs in the city of New Orleans. But I'm not up on my code, law enforcement code, how that works. Let's continue on. It's not like that's the only thing that happened. Another terrorist attack. America's getting pretty much bullied right now. I don't know by who, but I would say by God. We'll celestially, that's obviously the Most High dealing with this. But down here, whether it's a state-run actor, is it Syria? America actually helped. I believe they helped ISIS to get Bashar al-Assad out of there, right? They did everything in their power to get him out of there. So maybe this the backlash from that. I don't know how somebody would get over here that fast and accumulate weapons and so forth and so on. But maybe it's a sleeper cell. I guess we'll figure this out as time goes on. Either way, America's getting trashed, and it must be difficult to be in public now as a full-blooded American, because it seems like there's people in this country that are actually gunning for people's heads. You need that protection in these last days. That's following the law, statutes, commandments, keeping these angels camped around you. Not you, Esau. You're done. Other nations, kaput. The only thing you can do really is kiss our boots and get ready for slavery. That's your future, all right? Anywho, let's continue on. A couple more stories, couple more. This next one is very symbolic. I should have realized that obviously that this wasn't an accident, but just didn't seem to do enough damage. But I don't know, terrorists aren't exactly, at the top of their class. So a Tesla blew up in front of Trump Towers in Las Vegas. Now, we can look at it and more, it was a symbolic gesture. Like, I don't think they're going to take down the Trump Towers with a bunch of fireworks and gasoline, but I think the whole point of terrorists is to terrorize. And the king of terrors through this one, you got the Voodoo City and you got Sin City. Both of them got hit with terrorist attacks in the same day. Interesting enough. There's your message. All right, let's get Psalm chapter 69 and verse 24. All right, Psalm chapter 69, verse 24. Pour out thine indignation upon them, and let thy wrathful anger take hold of them. Let their habitations be desolate, and let none dwell in their tents. So, that Trump Tower is symbolic. Trump doesn't live there, but I don't think anybody's sleeping there tonight. Kind of had a terrorist attack there, right? Let's keep going. For they persecute him whom thou hast smitten, and they talk to the grief of those whom thou hast wounded. So you look at, and it was a Tesla. So that's Elon Musk taking that name from Nikola Tesla and making his, his car or whatever. He got that Cybertruck. Say with it what you may. Some people like it, some people don't. But that thing blew up, right? It's got an Elon Musk truck blowing up in front of Trump Towers. Elon Musk is very vocal about, like, I don't know, like, apparently people are taking over. That's true, but ain't nothing he could do about it. So he's like, oh, look at our numbers, as white males, we're not having babies, and, our women aren't having babies, and look at all this. He's saying like a worldwide collapse. No. Now with the Israelites, we're like the sand of the sea. We're everywhere. Just because you don't see us on the consensus numbers is because we don't answer the door anyway. We don't trust the government. So you don't know how many Israelites there are for real. But he always talking heavy, and we gotta make America great again, which means make America white again. You know how that is, right? Well, it's like somebody's gunning for you. I don't know if it's Iran. I don't know who it is, but somebody has it out for these people. This just seems like state sponsored. The one guy in New Orleans had a ISIS flag. Not sure about this guy that's in Vegas, but apparently they were together. If this guy in Voodoo-ville, New Orleans, had 3 or 4 people that were dropping off bombs, and they said they both got these cars through Turo. They rented the cars through Turo. It's terrible. Hopefully it's the Edomites that, own these cars, because then I get them back. One ran over about 50, 60 people. Another one got blown up. But, if they got the same car method, they might even be connected. So that's even more of a deeper sell. One's over on Las Vegas side, one's down south. But the Most High says, I'm going to take care of business, because he struck all the Washington Monument, the Capitol. I almost forgot the Empire State Building and the World One Trade Center. All 4 of them got struck by lightning last night. So regardless of what happens, who's calling the shots. Verse 27. Add iniquity unto their iniquity, and let them not come unto thy righteousness. So just add sin on the sin. Don't let them get it. Let them think that, it's all coincidence and hey, who knows what happened? Let's keep that type of energy going so we can see that look on your face when you get judged. All right, let's continue on and look at this explosion that happened with a Tesla Cybertruck.
Profit. Just heard a boom.
Oh my God. I heard that boom too, but I didn't know it was actually outside. I thought it was a person in the hallway. I was teased because my team, I didn't like the person that go on. I hope not another one goes on.
That's a lot of smoke.
That's another one I heard.
It was like a boom, boom, boom,
And I heard another.
and it almost sounded like a rolling, like garbage dumpster.
Yeah,
And then I saw that pop up.
that's definitely something else. Oh my God.
It looks like there might be some blackness on the sign.
Like a fire, maybe?
Oh wait, no, that's more like smoke just passing in front of it.
What?
But it looks like something is continuing to burn. Yeah, and the smoke is getting blacker.
Their habitations are being evacuated. Yeah, it might have been more symbolic than we're actually trying to hurt somebody. Well, the person in the car died and 7 people got injured. So 7 completion, 8 people total, Let's continue on. Okay, shall we? Let's go to the last one we're going to look at is a woman. It was Uber Eats or DoorDash or work for the company, whatever, delivered a pizza, and the person didn't give her a tip that she thought was worthy, so she stabbed the person. Okay, that's crazy, but we're almost expecting stuff like this because we're in the last days, so madness, things like this happen. Go to Matthew 24, verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. It's cold-blooded, man. Stabbed the guy up. I think she called her boyfriend. Boyfriend had a gun. And I believe they went into the house and stole things. So let's get 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 19. We'll get that when we get back. Let's watch the next video. Have more information.
We start tonight at 11 with new details just in about a story that is now making national headlines. A local pizza delivery driver accused of stabbing a customer 14 times in front of her child. Deputies say she was angry over a small tip. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Lisa Bell. Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden have the night off. Tonight, her attempted murder charge has been upgraded to first-degree murder, and there's someone else deputies want to question. Investigators say when 22-year-old Brianna Alvelo came back to the Riviera Motel in Kissimmee on Earl Bronson Memorial Highway, she had a man with her. That hotel is about 1.5 miles southeast of the Silver Spurs Arena. News 6 reporter Stephanie Rodriguez is in Osceola County with the new details about what happened.
It was here at the Riviera Motel that police say a woman was stabbed 14 times by a pizza delivery driver who had dropped off food to her room just an hour and a half before.
Good morning, ma'am. Please state your name.
Brianna Alvelo.
According to the arrest report, 22-year-old Brianna Alvelo was working at Marco's Pizza when she stopped by the motel for a delivery on Sunday. She was greeted by Melinda Irisari, who was in the motel with her boyfriend and 5-year-old daughter. According to police, Irisari paid her $33 bill with the $50 expecting change. But when Alvelo started to walk away, Irisari said she didn't want to leave a large tip, but Alvelo said they don't provide change. That's when police say Irisari began searching her motel room and car for smaller bills, eventually only leaving a $2 tip. Later that night, the family was asleep when police say Alvelo returned. Police say video shows Alvelo and a man wearing face masks arrive at the motel. Irisari told investigators a man pointed a gun at her boyfriend, forcing him into the bathroom. He told investigators they didn't take anything, but that they knew what they were there for. Alvelo began breaking their belongings and stabbed Irisari 14 times. Irisari told police she believed Alvelo was trying to kill her and was afraid for her life and her daughters. She was taken to the hospital for emergency surgery, where she learned she was a few weeks pregnant. Investigators say they came here to the Marco's Pizza on Chaps Place, and the manager confirmed that Alvelo was the one who delivered the order to Riviera Motel. She was arrested right here on Monday. A company spokesperson told News 6 the safety and well-being of customers and team members are always our top priority, and we are taking this incident very seriously. Alvelo is charged with home invasion with a firearm, kidnapping, and aggravated assault. She was originally charged with attempted murder, but is now facing a premeditated murder charge. News 6 is working to confirm who died. She was denied bond.
State believes that this is a punishable by life offense.
Police continue to search for the man they say helped Alvelo attack the family over a bad tip. Anyone with information is urged to contact them. Reporting in Kissimmee, Stephanie Rodriguez, getting results, News 6.
22 and facing life in jail for, she actually had a job, but not thinking ahead, right? Maybe the next person that you go will give you $100 tip and then make up for that tip, but it's not the way it's working now. Things are drying up, and people are losing it. Okay. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. So, her just getting a $2 tip was enough to throw her entire life away, and came back later. And the person's living in a motel. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you expecting right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm down on my hard luck living in this motel. I don't have a $700 tip for you, but nevertheless, this is the time period we're living in, and you got to expect things like that. All right. So that is the lesson. Hopefully it was edifying. As you see, the Most High struck every major, like Empire State Building, all the World Trade Center, everything that people look up to and take pictures and idolize and put on postcards. Most High struck with lightning. That is a sign, okay, coming into this new year, alleged new year, so-called 2025. It's going to be a year of vengeance, a year of judgment. It's already starting off like that. And we just got to be ready for anything, okay? Hopefully you are prepared and you're waxing stronger and stronger instead of weaker and weaker. If you are waxing weaker and weaker, it might be time for a fast. Get back on track and prepare yourself to meet the Savior. All right. Let's all prepare to pray, whether you want to stand and face the east or prostrate and face the east. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. This is the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Wadash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malachwaka, Daba'a, Ratazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Kowa, Aya, Bashemayim, Natananawa, Lacham, Kau, Yawam, Wasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Kasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Yinawa, Wala'a, Dabianawa, Banasai 1, Abo, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwaf, Wa Allah, Wa Taparaf, La Wulamnyam. Amen. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Yes, deliver us from evil. Makes you not want to order a pizza. You know, woman, the 22-year-old woman stab you 14 times while you're pregnant in front of your 5-year-old child. This is the evil place we're living in. So let's aim for the kingdom, go for the kingdom, and everything else will follow. All right? Paraphrasing. Yahba Shemal Shabrak Shalom.